It's your girl, Professor Cinephile, and I am reviewing another film for you. Just came out, but this one isn't going to be very long because there isn't much to talk about. Oh, I'm sorry. This is The Amateur, which just came out. It's a CIA espionage type film starring Rami Malek and Laurence Fishburne, which is why I went to see it, right? Okay, so spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about things that happen in this film. If you don't want the film to be spoiled for you, you can just pause it, come back later, what have you. But if you don't mind the spoilers, stick with me. So just a little bit of background. I love Lawrence Fishburne's work. He's got some issues as a person, but I love his work, and I think that he's one of those actors that has deserved way more flowers than he's received. And since he's getting up in age, I try to see everything that he's in. I have noticed, however, that he's kind of been pigeonholed a bit and kind of stuck in certain types of roles, and this one showed itself to be the same. So anyway, The Amateur, if you're into like espionage films, which, Mission Impossible type stuff, you might like it, maybe. Okay. So anyway, you got this guy Charlie, played by Malek, and he works for the CIA, and he's kind of a, I don't know, like he kind of a loner in a sense, but not because he wants to be, but more because people don't really rock with him, kind of giving neurospicy vibes, which was actually pretty cool. I like that kind of representation. He's very much a data nerd, computer hacker type person, super, super, super smart. But you can see that he has some issues with socializing, but he wants to, right? He wants to build these connections. His primary connection is with his wife, Sarah. They obviously have a really close connection. She does her work, he does his. Nice little younger millennial type of couple situation going on. All right, so she goes on a business trip. He was going to go with her, but he's got work to do. So she goes to London, and I'm not ruining the film with this part because it's part of the trailer and all this stuff like that. She's killed. She's killed in like a hostage situation, and he finds out and he wants revenge. But before this happens, he uncovers some stuff that the CIA has been doing, right? And here's where I'll pause because I just think that it's really interesting that there are these films coming out or these television shows that are coming out that are talking about like the secret lives of the United States government. And I'm thinking about Paradise with Sterling Brown, G20 with Viola Davis, trying to think of another one. But you know what I mean? Like kind of, oh, that's what the government is capable of. And I'm always fascinated by how they let those films come out because they want you to believe it's fiction, but no, this is the stuff that the United States government does, particularly the CIA. We know the CIA has a history of really unscrupulous behavior, right? All in the name of protecting, United States interests, right? So he finds out that basically the US has been doing drone strikes in different parts, particularly in the Middle Eastern region, Yemen, Syria, things like that. But they've been covering it up and making it look like it's suicide bomber. So the first thing I was thinking is like, yo, is that what's been happening? That's what's been happening? Oh, not surprising, right? Giving United States imperialist nature. So he's discovered this, but his coworker is like, he didn't tell his coworker what he found, but he told him that he found something. And the coworker was like, just keep quiet. Like, just don't even rock the boat at all. So he's basically like, all right, I'm gonna hold on to this though. Again, keep in mind, this is a super hacker, okay? Like he's super, super smart with these computers, can, encrypt and de-encrypt or whatever the word is, you nerds know, and he can do all that stuff. So he's also got this person that he's been talking to for about 5 years on like through like an instant messenger. And this is the person that sent it to him. He's like, this will be beneficial for you, but it may hurt your country, right? So this is the person that sent him this stuff. And basically, he's seeing these files signed off by CIA directors and officials, authorizing for this narrative to shift. And so he's watching these videos, and they're reporting that it's drone strikes, but then the news is switching up and saying, well, what we thought were drone strikes are actually suicide bombers. Makes you start to think about how the United States is operating, right? Okay, cool. So he goes to the directors and he's like, I got this information on you because they're basically dragging their asses to figure out who killed his wife, right? It was given a little bit of Taken vibes, if you've ever seen Taken, and it's like 80 of those, right? Okay. So they don't want to, they're not really moving their feet, right? So he's like, I want to find who killed my wife and I want to take care of it myself. I got this information on you. And they're like, all right, so what you want? And so he demands that they help him get prepared to go and do it himself. He's asking for a new identity, he's asking for training, he's asking for all these things. They agree to it because they know they're up the creek without a paddle, right? Cool, cool, cool. Your man's is getting prepared. Who do they send in? Agent Henderson, played by Laurence Fishbourne. Now, first thing I thought was like, are you Morpheus again in this film? Like, is that the role that you're playing again? And the reason why I think about this, and throughout the whole film, I was like, it was given magical Negro vibes. Now, here's where I pause and I give you some kind of theory, right? So, the magical Negro, the term was actually coined by Spike Lee, but it's an older idea, right? It's appeared in literature and in film. The magical Negro is a Black person whose primary job is to come and help a white person be better, help them win in some way, help them improve their lives, right? There have been many instances of it. The person doesn't have to be kind of supernatural, doesn't have to have any supernatural abilities. So when you think of something like The Legend of Bagger Vance, or you think of something like Ghost, right? There was supernatural elements there. But then if you think about some other films, they don't have to be magical, they just have to be their primary objective is to help white people improve their lives. It's actually a film, the American Society of Magical Negroes. I reviewed that on TikTok. You know, I hated that film. The film was absolutely awful. They could have done so much more with that, but whatever. We're gonna leave that alone. So he kind of comes in and he's the one that's training him, right? But then he's also like, you're like, is he really with this guy? Is he working both sides? What's his loyalty to? And his loyalty is to the CIA. So whatever, he's helping him, trying to train him how to shoot, all these kinds of things. But he realizes that your man's is a bomb, like he's really good at making bombs, right? So fast forward, he's all prepared or whatever, but then he realizes that Charlie realizes that Henderson doesn't really have his back. So he makes a run for it. He kind of goes on his own way and he's going to set out to go get these people. Okay. That's pretty much the premise. And I'll talk quickly about some of the things that I, either liked or didn't like. It wasn't much about this film that I actually really enjoyed. It is a slow build. You kind of have to sit quietly. I'm no lie, this man was in the theater and he was snoring. Your man's was knocked out. Okay. Everybody was talking about it. I was actually the one that got up out my seat and went and gently tapped him on his shoulder and let him know that he was snoring. And he was like, oh, thank you. I'm so sorry. All the people sitting next to him, nobody did that. And I'm like, why don't you care about this man? Right? Because if it was me, if I'm sitting in the movie theater embarrassing myself, calling the hog tom, I want somebody to grab my arm. Cool, cool, cool. I get back to my seat. The man next to me is asleep and he's starting to snore a little bit. So I got to tap him too. Listen, I'm on snore patrol in this film. And part of it is because it is not that engaging and it is not that exciting, right? However, there were some fun moments. If you're a person who likes really cool kills, it's got some cool kills in it, right? So I'm a big fan of the Jigsaw, of the Saw franchise. I'm a big fan of Jigsaw and the kills that he rigs. I just think they're amazingly grotesque, but they're also really creative. So he's got some creative ones in this film. And I'm telling you, I was like, oh, okay. So one of the first people that he gets is this woman, and he he breaks into her house and finds out that she has an appointment because she has allergies. And so he's like, oh, okay, bet. He grabs a gun, but again, like Henderson told him, I don't think you're gonna shoot anybody. And he's right. He cannot kill people, right? Like not shoot them straight up, looking them in the face. So what does your man's do? He locks her into this chamber. He tracks her down at work, locks her into this chamber, and connects the hose that feeds the oxygen into the chamber with pollen. Okay, your man's took her out with pollen. And he's like, as the pollen's coming, you see her going into like anaphylactic shock or whatever the word is, right? I think it's anaphylactic shock. And then she's begging for her life, yo. He's like, tell me what I want to know. Because he's trying to find the person, like he got to see the video of his wife being killed, right? Like, let's honor the fact that this man is he is grief stricken, mourns, and also vengeful. So his primary goal, I'm gonna kill the dude that I saw that had the gun to my wife's head. She don't want to say nothing. She don't want to say nothing. Eventually, as the pollen is whooping her ass, she gives she gives her the information. Okay. Rami Malek is very interesting. Okay. Um, I'm always gonna see him as Freddie Mercury. I think at one point I was like, okay, Freddie, it's hard, right? Like when you have such an iconic role and that really kind of pushes you into the spotlight, it's hard for you to move away from it. And there's certain people that have certain acting techniques that they use and certain things like Kerry Washington, I've talked about her before with her like the lip thing that she does. Jonathan Majors, that thing that he does, like a lot of people rely on that. Viola Davis cries the way she cries, like ugly cries and stuff. There's certain things that people rely on, can sometimes be a little one note. And I find that Remy has some of those, so he has some of those things about him. And I'm just like, I want to see you do something a little bit different. I feel like every time I've seen him, he's got this like locked jaw kind of thing that he does. You know what I'm talking about. You didn't seen the man, right? So I was like, But also in the end, Henderson was kind of on some, oh, I don't believe that you can do it, but he was really impressed that he did. He was impressed that he was impressed that he was able to escape. He was impressed that he was able to outsmart them. But also the ending kind of suggests that Henderson wanted him to be the one to take people out. Also, the person that had been communicating with him was actually a former KGB who was giving him this information, and then he was killed, and so his wife took over or whatever. So there was people that were rooting for him to be the one. And I kind of like that part of it because he's so unsuspecting. He's not trained in combat. He's not one of those types of people, but he's smart. And so he's able to use his smarts and all of that to kind of get revenge for his wife. And I'm not mad at that, but I just kind of think the film was, I think it was a little longer than it needed to be. It was a little slow. It was And then, again, I feel like Lawrence Fishburne kind of comes into this Morpheus role. And I feel like we've seen him do the Morpheus role, more than once. And I don't know whether it's because he's gotten older, he's still got the bald head thing going on. We're not going to get another Ike Turner, right? We might as well just put that to rest, although he should have gotten the Academy Award for that. You kind of put that to rest, right? I think that, like I said, the best thing out of this film was probably the kill scenes. I really like that pollen shit. That shit was creative. Bitch, you got allergies, you about to die. Ain't no EpiPen in sight. That was great. Um, I'm gonna give this film 3 hearts. And I'm gonna give it 3 hearts just because, I do like a little espionage. I do like a little, creative kill. I appreciate Lawrence Fishburne getting work and still being out there. So I'm gonna give it for that. But overall, I would say wait till it comes out on streaming. I don't think that this is a film you need to rush to the theaters to see, unfortunately. I do think that Rami he's got some growth that he needs to do, I think, as an actor. And it's interesting because like everybody seems to think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I don't know if that's an exoticizing that's happening with him. And that's the other thing that I really don't like, and I come from that cultural perspective. I don't like when racialized people play white characters or characters that could be white or characters that have no cultural grounding at all. It's very clear that this is not a white man, right? And yet he's kind of navigating as his name is Charlie Heller. And I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, it's okay to give people culture. It's okay to write characters that maybe have some culture, right? So, yeah, that's that. Sorry, like I've been bothered by this thing the whole time. See, I keep it real. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? I have dry skin on my nose. Not a booger, it's dry skin. Anyway, thanks for checking out. If you are new to my channel, please, please, please subscribe. I'm very happy to say that I got over 1,000 subscriptions I wanted to meet that 1,000 mark. I'm very, very happy about it. I'm not trying to be nobody's influencer. I just want to make that clear. Let me give a little time. I'm not trying to be anybody's influencer or what have you. I love what I do. I love going to the movies. I love watching these films. I like sharing my thoughts on them. I like doing some deep dives. This film I didn't think required much of any kind of deep dives aside from the magical Negro thing. And I do think in this regard, Henderson came in and was kind of helping Charlie in that way. And again, I feel like Lawrence Fishburne has kind of moved into that magical Negro role a little bit more than I'd like to see. But I also don't think that Henderson was written as a black man. So you never know because nobody had any kind of cultural connections or anything like that. So that's also part of why I kind of disengage a little bit from some films because I'm like, come on, we don't need colorblind films. So yeah, I give it 3 hearts. Subscribe to my channel, like this video. When you like the videos, when you leave comments, it does boost the algorithm. It does let people know that I'm here. And I've got some good stuff coming up. I got my AMC A-list back. I hadn't had it for a while. Also, there weren't really many films coming out, and I was just like, I wasn't motivated. But this summer, I am going to be in the films more, back in the movies more, watching more films and reviewing them for you. So definitely hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. You can also check out some of the ones I've already done, especially if you came here because of Sinners. Thank you for all the views on my Sinners thing. I've had all kinds of people reaching out to me about it, and I was just giving my thoughts, and I didn't even like give all of my thoughts. Some of it I'm saving for the Academy. But thank you if you're here because of that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the love. And I'm just going to continue to review my films and kind of come from a professor's point of view. Love you all. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.